Hey everybody, Merry Christmas. It's Christmas 2025. I'm sitting at my house. We traveled up from Baton Rouge to our house in Clinton. And it's for people that aren't really familiar with why I said that. My wife and I, my wife took a new job. She has a same company, just that got a promotion, and she now works with. She's a property was a property manager, and now she works with properties that are kind of struggling financially in the company. And so they send her around to help them basically organize and figure out what the problem is. And the one that we're on in Baton Rouge is really actually pretty simple. They just have to. My wife always has a big job of pretty much anywhere she's ever going to go. Her first job is to convince the people that are there that they need help, even though it should be obvious. But anyway, so we're down in Baton Rouge right now working on that stuff, and we've just traveled up day before yesterday from Baton Rouge to Clinton, Iowa, and for Christmas. And we spent Christmas Eve with her, with my wife's mom and sister, and having a good time around our town. And of course, on the trip up, it was fun and wonderful. Things happened, like the muffler was knocked loose, so it's still there. It just sounds like a dive bomber, Rah! Yeah. And the cats enjoyed the trip, 3 cats, but we're in my van, my full size Ford van, which used to be a work truck and now is just a van. So plenty of room for those little shenanigan lovers. And my wife and I did gifts last night, and now we're getting ready to go over to my mother-in-law's and celebrate Christmas dinner kind of thing. So it's just like anything, the drive, any break that you get, the drive was long. We drove straight through. I usually do that particular drive straight through, and the next day, or that night I should say, we got here at like 4 in the morning. So that, because we couldn't leave right on time in the daytime because of her work, so we left at like 2:30. And then between yesterday, the food and all that kind of stuff, and now I'm half worn out. And it's supposed to be kind of like a vacation, right? But I'm half worn out, so just tired. I have not had coffee, and that's probably it too. It's on. It's in there. It's all ready to go. But what's up, Grace? Gracie? Yeah, I know. I hear you. So the cats have been stoked. All their old windows. We have a little bitty apartment, and so it's quite an adjustment for those guys. But we're now in our house, and they're like, so much space we took for granted before. I'm sure they see it that way. They probably don't even notice. Other than the space, they probably don't notice that they took it for granted. I did. Hi guys. So Frankie, Gracie, and Ginger Billy are my cats, and they're all here. Don't let people ever tell you that cats don't have personalities. They're totally different from each other. They even ride in the van, like on trips, very differently. Yeah. He's the OG. He's like 17. He ought to be the one kid that's kind of more used to that kind of stuff. He's been all over the country driving. So anyway, I got all kinds of swag. I hope you guys did too. It's been a great Christmas so far. It might as well just keep going that way. Um, I hope you guys all feel rested after your Christmas time, and don't spend too much time talking about politics and stuff. And national geological geopolitics, rather. Yeah. Anyway, looking forward to this new year. See what happens. And people sometimes say, "Oh, there's no way it could be worse than the last year." It could always be worse. We're nowhere near as bad as this place has been before, and because there's a lot of smart people in the country on both sides. The There are more really stupid ones on one side, which I'm not going to get into that. But I know lots of uh, people that are very intelligent that don't feel the way I feel politically and about life in general, I guess. Um, but they don't show the wisdom. And then I know a ton of people that are on in that same kind of group, but they are wise in that, they, if they talk about it, and it's not a third rail subject, but when they talk, when people talk about it, if they can talk about it with sense and with, a sense of who they are, rather than, being taken by pod people or whatever, because both sides has plenty of that. My mom, before she passed, for years, was lined up on a particular side, and it was a side that, fucking cat, Gracie, stop. He's a grumpy old man, and she likes to fuck with him. But anyway, people on your own quote unquote side can be just as nutty as anybody else, practically foaming at the mouth. I think more reasonably talk about stuff. Remember, you're not going to convince somebody else. If your goal ever, when you're talking to somebody, is to convince them, just stop. Not even all, like when you go to a college, not even all college professors convince their students, even though they know a ton of shit about that stuff. You're giving the person food for thought. Okay? And if they buy into it when you're teaching the class, great. But some people don't buy into something, even a little, until years later. And then they see other things in life, and they suddenly realize there's a pattern. And because it's all that, our brains look for patterns. And then some of life's questions get answered by saying pattern, 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 And tons of things are discovered that way. Try not to be fearful. Fear is the number one thing that manipulators use against us, because it's the most powerful emotion we've got. Try not to be too fearful, because we've been taught to be fearful from birth. Not just from birth, but our parents and our grandparents' birth. So we've got this sense of history to be fearful. And I'm just really lucky, personally, that I was born with a malfunctioning fear factor. And I'm not brave necessarily. I'm not bravery. I don't feel the fear like I've noticed other people feeling, and some of that's by design, and some of that's just, a malfunctioning system. It really is. I consider that luck, because turning off that turned on some other things. So anyway, Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a Happy New Year. And if you're, avoiding alcohol, good job. If you're eating better, good job. You know, seemingly perfectly healthy people keel over all the time. They don't smoke, they don't do all this kind of stuff, but something that they're doing is an imbalance. You know, get medical attention. Have a doctor look at you once in a while, and once in a while have a different doctor look at you. Because there's no guarantee that one guy's not a psychopath. Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. Do your thing. Have a great year.